Captain's ready to go.
We're rolling.
All right. Another week. I'm back. I made it back.
Yeah. You look a little tired.
Yeah, I'm a little under the weather today.
All right.
But that's all right. We're going to do this thing. We've got some good topics. I'm excited about it.
I think so. It's funny because like we always say this every week, politics seems to be taking the forefront of everything.
It does.
And I guess that's election.
It is. I mean, we're in the cycle. We're definitely in the cycle of it. It's being crammed down our throats. Right. So it's a lot of what we see that's out there. So it's hard not to talk about it.
It's funny because we always look for funny stories to talk about. And Houston, being the size city it is, crazy stuff happens all the time.
Right on.
We just found a story this morning. There's a woman that was walking from the parking lot into a Kroger store, and she hit the plate glass window.
Right.
And bounced off of it.
Yeah.
And now she wants to sue for $1 million.
Well, and there's a lawyer. It's too bad we don't have lawyer Joe here with us. He could probably define some stuff for us at this point, but I'm just going to go ahead and say this is why things are expensive. This is why we can't have nice things. If you would just let a good year or 6 months even of lawyers not be involved in anything, like where they make warning labels on products and stuff like that, society would fix itself in 6 months. So
basically let God sort it out?
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not seeing a problem with this. If you guys would just take a rest, all go on vacation to the south of France and not sue anybody, you could come back to a nation that was full of halfway smart people.
There you go. Well,
so for those that are offended by the God comment, Darwin.
There you go, or whatever you believe.
Yeah, and F you, I could care less if you're offended.
You know, what's funny is, like, if you get tired of hanging out in the U.S., you can always go to the wave pool in China.
Yeah, and that was awesome.
Yes.
Mr. Lee Ho turned the wave pool up. I don't know if the guy was drunk on...
to 11.
Yeah, he cranked it up.
You could.
Turned it up to 11. But it was spitting people out left and right. Of these poor little Chinese kids are being flung all over the place.
Because I think the conversation goes, I can get him higher.
I can get him higher.
And they called it, what did they call it? They called it
the tsunami.
The water world tsunami.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome. Where's Greg? Where's Greg Brady? He needed his little tiki, and he could get on his surfboard. We needed Greg Brady there.
I just think it's hilarious because, when you go to those wave parks, they could be kind of tough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean those things will really get going.
I haven't frequented one since I was a kid because I'm a crowd phobic as it is.
Oh, I am too, especially
and those things and germaphobe on top of that. That thing just screams stay out. I'd rather anything. I'd rather be in a burning building than in a wave pool.
I was all about the wave pool.
Yeah, back in the day.
When you were a kid. Oh yeah, when I was like now?
Yeah, right. When I was going through I was dating some woman that took me to one water park.
Wow.
Man, with her kids.
Graham, what kind of woman goes to a water park with you? That's what I'm wondering.
The kind I like.
That's what I'm guessing. She must be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I quit going when I saw dirty, wet diapers.
Oh, yeah, that'll make you vomit.
We took our nieces and nephews to SeaWorld a long time ago because they're grown adults now.
Yeah.
And two things that turned me off. And I feel bad for young girls that don't know their period starts.
Right.
And that we were in a wave pool, and she gets out of the pool, and I felt terrible for her because that has to be the most embarrassing thing on the planet.
Yeah,
the two words you just brought up would probably excite Dershowitz and Epstein. So.
I know, right? Speaking of Dershowitz getting excited, what about that latest tweet battle of his, man?
Yeah,
statutory rape isn't necessarily rape.
Sounds like Alan's it's got a little Woody going on there for the jailbait, man. Yeah. What are you doing, Alan? Some of the stuff he's done recently I've kind of respected. I've seen him on Fox, and he's had some good political commentary. I don't know if he slipped off his meds or if the Alzheimer's is kicking in or what happened.
A lot of these guys realize their party time is over.
It is. Maybe it's a last grasp. Yeah. I got to throw one more down before I go down. So,
So is he legal counsel for Epstein, or is he just acting?
No, I think he's just one of those talking heads they go to. Every time you turn around, Alan Dershowitz has always been on in front of a mic.
Because I've seen him as a he's normally like a subject matter expert.
Sure, and that's what they bring him in for.
The guy's generally pretty smart about some of that stuff. I mean, I don't respect all of his opinions. Well,
he's kind of like a Napolitano.
He is. Yeah. So I can kind of appreciate where he comes from, but I think here he's just. I think he's reaching with this whole. It's a two-edged sword. I had a friend that was 19 and he had a girlfriend that was 17 when this was way back when, and the parents the parents of the girl became mad at the guy. Well, they wanted to charge him with statutory rape, so to get back at him, they called the cops, and it was a big legal mess for a long time. Fortunately, they made up and actually got married and are still married to this day.
Right.
But all right, that was getting burps here all of a sudden. But no, sadly, that could have gone really wrong. I mean, this guy could have been in jail and having to go around to every door in his neighborhood and explain, I'm a sexual predator.
Well, statutory rape laws are different in every state.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets all twisted and tangled. And a lot of those laws haven't been changed for many, many, many years. They go way back into the 20s and 30s.
Oh, yeah.
But what's interesting about the timing of this one is the whole Epstein thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when you find out, I mean, this is not new news.
No.
We hear about the casting couch stories coming out of Hollywood, and we hear about the political parties that go on, like the Clintons and everybody that's involved in their parties.
Yeah, the Podestas and all the weirdness that goes on. I mean, that was real emails. You can try to play that off that wasn't. Those were real emails that went around.
And what I think is interesting is you have the rich and powerful out there, and then you have this group of good-looking young people trying to come up through the ranks.
Right.
And I've always wanted to sit down and just be able to have honest one-on-one conversations with actors and actresses that had to come up through this type of environment, even political figures.
Yeah.
Because you hear about it later on in years. Some of them commit suicide.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Well, I think this is probably what leads to a lot of the drug and alcohol abuse that you see in Hollywood. Is they can't. The human psyche is not put together to deal with that kind of abuse.
They become play toys for these people.
Exactly.
And that's the problem, and it's very consuming. And what I think is really interesting about Hollywood is they actually make movies about it.
Yeah.
They make movies about it. You'll watch like Mulholland Falls is all about that.
Yeah. No, it's probably not far off from the truth.
No,
it's probably
usually art imitates life.
Exactly.
And you hear the casting couch story. So I think with Dershowitz,
that's why they're always Academy Award winners when you see those. They're like, yeah, I can remember going through that. That's the best acting I've ever seen.
I'm telling you. So I look at that and I always tell myself, you know what? That's just not. It's not normal for these things to be out there. What he did. Basically, I think where he messed up was he was too broad with his definition.
Yeah.
Or his argument.
Yeah, I think he just tried to fire something off and it came out wrong. It's like anything else in the media. I think he's probably trying to give an example of what I just gave.
Sure.
Where you got a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old. Come on. Why, by definition, that's statutory rape, but do you really want to prosecute a kid that's 19?
Don't you think in this day and age, though, people are more litigious than they used to be?
Oh, yeah.
And they're always looking for the easy dollar.
Not only that, it's to go to guns to ruin somebody. I mean, people are they're vicious, man, and they know because you don't have fisticuffs anymore in society. Used to, two men could kick each other's ass in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
The cops might come out and they might put you in jail for a night. You do that now, it's prison time.
Sure.
So the only way you have to strike back now is with monetary means. I mean, really, and I think that's what this is. And when you break it down, it's really more violent than going after somebody physically. I'd rather somebody punch me in the nose than go get a lawyer.
Sure. But when you know that you can win the lottery...
Yeah. That too.
That's part of the problem, and that's kind of what we see with all this. I mean, because if you look at the Epstein thing, okay, once that gets legitimized, it's already out there. It's been out there for a long time.
Right.
They just ignore it. The media is the one to blame here, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones ignoring it. But once it gets a face...
Yeah.
Once it lands...
Once you have something to attach it to, you know what I mean? It's got legs and it's breathing.
Yeah.
You got a target at that point.
Well, they're done. You know, it's funny because it kind of leads us into ageism.
Right.
When you start talking about old guard versus new guard, and you start seeing that all these older guys. What's that dude from Hollywood that got popped? Real famous. Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein. You saw him get popped, and you saw a whole bunch of politicians.
Yeah.
That got popped. And what I thought was funny about politicians getting popped for sexual activities was, they tried to use it as a tool. They went after Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
It failed because everybody eventually, because so much pressure was put on them,
right?
They actually fessed up to the truth and said, hey, we made that up.
Right.
Now, you're starting to see it come out.
Well, it's funny after the fact on the Kavanaugh thing, you go back and you see where she scrubbed her social media, and then people are coming out and saying, look, I saw what she said before she scrubbed all this. So, again, it goes back to a two-edged sword of, you have people that use it both ways, and it's sad. It is. It's ridiculous.
It is, but they're also linking a lot of these behaviors to ageism.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation earlier about ageism where they were talking about Biden. They were saying that, Biden, he's been in politics his entire life. 44 years of uselessness this guy has been out there.
Go to Biden 3030. The interwebs.
Exactly. So, you see this coming out in a lot of activities today. I know Sam and I were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
To where even like in the military, when you look at somebody's age past a certain service life.
Yeah.
And where you put them in the things they do, you still had to have them, okay? Because you take a guy like Biden, that's been, I feel, 44 years of failed career.
Exactly.
But he's extremely wealthy and extremely powerful from that.
Yeah.
So how does he
got all the connections and the information?
There you go. Look at all the things he's tied to.
Yeah.
Okay. So
look at his family tied to China, so forth, so on.
All the things are tied to, and look at all the political parties he's been a part of that are part of these ruins.
Yeah.
With the Clintons and all the things, because we were even talking about Bill Maher earlier. Sam and I were about what he came out and said to the Democrats the other day on Twitter.
Yeah,
and that was, what was that, Sam?
Real quickly, he just basically said of the whole group how quickly they all elected to throw Obamacare under the bus.
Yeah, no, that was interesting. And that's funny. I just thought of something as we were sitting here. If he was smart, he'd play this to his advantage. He'd come out and say, these people are attacking me because of ageism. He could really flip it on Kamala Harris and all these Cory Booker and all these guys that are coming at him.
In this environment,
I don't know.
Having an old white dude complain about ageism will not.
You don't think that'd make it?
Well, they did such a good job of stacking the cards against him. I mean, look at Moonbeam.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
She's quickly my favorite. Well, Marianne Williamson, she's quickly becoming my favorite because of the speeches and rants that she goes on.
If aliens probed and returned anybody, it's her.
It's her. Oh, there's no doubt about it.
It's her. I mean, she should actually lead the raid on Area 51.
I agree. Either that or open a wind chime store. Yeah. I sell scented candles and wind chimes. I was once going to be president, though.
So, the stunt she pulled the other day with the prayer where white people were apologizing to African Americans.
Yeah, that was pretty entertaining.
It's funny because as a nation, we have moved so far past that.
Right.
Where the oppression is only from within or their own party.
Right.
Because if you look at Sharpton and Jackson and all those guys, they live in mansions because of this.
Right.
Okay? They don't have a legitimate career. They're activists. Okay?
Right.
So the minute that people actually hold hands and accomplish things, they're done.
Yeah, they're out of there. They leave the room. They've got their check and we're going. Yeah.
Exactly. They don't have victims to protect. They're out of a job.
Yeah,
exactly. So
but they've already got their check. That's the disgusting part of it. You know what I mean?
But when you look at ageism, okay, let's apply ageism to it. So those dudes be dead eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. So are their kids picking up their torches?
Doesn't seem to be.
Right?
They tried to get Jesse Jackson Jr. out there, and he kind of failed miserably. I think they caught him in a fair scandal or something like that.
Because he was.
And then Jesse Jackson did it as well.
Yeah. Well, they all got caught up in the fame of that. That's what happens to the kids. The kids get caught up in the fame of their parents' wealth.
Right.
And so when you start looking at trying to prop them up for future generations, when the narrative doesn't fit anymore, okay?
Right.
That tells me that people are getting along better.
Okay.
Okay. The only reason why they're not is that I think it's a percentage of people that follow the news, and they keep stirring that 20% up because they haven't woken the beast yet.
Yeah, that's true.
They did at the election on 2016. Okay? Yeah, 2016. Yeah. That's
yeah.
when the election was.
You got it.
So you got that bunch right. And sometimes math evades me. But, you can kind of hear what the real pulse of the country is. We're tired of hearing the bullshit. We're tired of taxes. We're tired of all these regulations. We're tired of not having jobs. So now what does the people do that had 8 years of control? They spent these entire 3 years stirring up diversity.
Yeah.
Look at Baltimore. Look at Black Lives Matter. Look at all these organizations that aren't there for the betterment. They're actually rebel rousers. They're like watching European soccer fans fight it out.
And that's the thing. That was funny that you brought up Baltimore. It's funny. People should be able to look at that And it doesn't take a huge power of deduction to go, wait a minute. Democrats have been in control for 50 years.
Yeah,
50 solid years.
Elijah Cummings was the representative from that area.
You saw the mayor resigned, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What choice do you have when it's a disgrace like that? You know, Baltimore at one point was such a, it was like the third or fourth largest city in America for a long time.
Oh yeah,
up into the 60s or 70s, it was a huge city, and since then 375,000 people have left. And manufacturing has fled from there. And it's all because of Democrat control. I mean, it's all because of political control. It's political dynasties that exist there and have run it for years and run it into the ground.
So when you look at the East Coast, that's happened to every major city.
Sure.
Okay, so when you look at EPA and OSHA and all these regulatory committees that come in there, people forget that they spend millions of dollars on studies.
Right.
And all these studies are influenced by lobbyists. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you have the clean air thing going on, I'll tell you, I remember when my uncle worked at U.S. Steel, and I took a tour in 1976 at U.S. Steel in Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
And it's interesting because they spent $1 million getting that facility ready for people to actually physically walk through the beginning of the manufacture of steel to the very end. And what you saw was a company spending a lot of money to make environmental improvements. Okay?
Right.
And what the interesting part about that tour was they talked about the quenchers that clean the air before the stacks go off into the atmosphere,
right.
Then the second thing they were proud of was the water treatment of all the water used in that facility comes from Lake Michigan, comes through the plant, and it goes through a filtration station, and it's cleaner
on the outcome
than it was going in. You can't tell me that can't be had. But what ends up happening is we have trade relations with China and Japan and the other Asian countries, even India, and they decided that, you know what, the labor's cheaper there, so let's move all of our industry over there and bring it in for manufacturing. So who does that? Who actually does that? Politicians.
Well, politicians make it happen, right?
They paved the way for that to happen.
And that's the other thing I don't understand. The Democrats don't realize, as a voter, I mean, like the Union Democrat, they got to be realizing at this point that they've been sold out. I think they realize that. I think they are all starting to wake up to that, and I think that's why you saw the Rust Belt go the way it did.
Well, and that's the thing. Election. They know that so through unionism and all the things that they brought in to make this the most difficult endeavor, the party has shifted its dynamics into a socialistic aspect, because they know that once you lose the economy, your only control is over people.
That's it. All you've got is an iron fist to rule them with.
And that's why they are the way they are. So what's really funny is watching these debates and watching distractions like Marianne Moonbeam.
She's Moonbeam from now on.
And all these people that are in that party pandering to a socialistic outcome just tells you that they're all out of gas.
Oh, yeah. They've got nothing left. I mean, it's so obvious. It's blatantly obvious. And nobody really wants to call them on it. The commentators that are given the questions, that's been comical. You know, you got Don Lemon basically called the president a racist. I thought that was interesting.
So Graham's been pretty quiet this whole thing.
I knew that would perk him up.
Because he's tweeting with Lemon. I think they actually have a thing going.
Oh, him and Lemon?
Yeah, I think Sam
You and
Lemon.
Donnie?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like a match made for me. Because look at him.
But no, and here's my thought. After this is all done, what are they really looking for? Like, Moonbeam's got like zero chance. She knows in the back of her head she's got zero chance.
Right.
More than half of this field knows that they have zero chance. So what are they gunning for? In the end, they're gunning for their own TV show. They're gunning for a spot on CNN.
Well, a household name for at least a few months.
Sure.
They're looking for some other opportunity on the outside.
The residuals that come from that pay millions, because we're a diverse enough country to where somebody's going to want her to succeed.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're going to throw money at her to succeed. And that's how they do it. I mean, you've really hit on the vein of what
I think it is. I really think it is. Like I said, I've been trying to piece it together. I'm like, why would 20 people 25 or whatever the field is out there with these idiots, why would they go do this? And if you look in the end, it's really a money thing. They're going like, okay, how can I leverage this when I'm done?
Well, you're floating a balloon and you're looking for attraction to a masses.
Exactly.
So you float the balloon, you say, okay, here's all of our clowns. Which clown did better? To me, it reminds me of America's Got No Talent.
Right. Well, and they're looking for a metric. They're like, okay,
Sure.
this person can satisfy this metric, so we can move them here.
Yeah.
Personally, this is what I would like to see. I'd like to see at the end of this, because I really think AOC's done. I don't think she makes it back. I think we're going to lose that material.
Well, they're going to redistrict her out anyway.
I think
she's
so.
Gonna be, she's going to be phased out.
She's done.
Crossed.
But
Yeah.
you've got her. You've got Moonbeam. And I don't think Nan can hold on much longer. She's like losing. I think
Pelosi?
Nancy Pelosi. I
Yeah.
call her
Nam.
Grandma Nam Nam. Or
Yeah,
there's
Nam.
there's a couple of ways you can refer to her. But
That was
that's
off of Horrible Bosses.
I think so.
We went to go see Gam Gam.
But anyway, what I'd like to see is them do a reality show where it's Moonbeam, AOC, and her, and they're on this deserted island. And the only thing on this deserted island is one butcher cleaver and a TV that's playing reruns of The Apprentice. Just the whole time.
You know,
dude, I would watch that all day long.
What'd be cooler is illegal aliens.
Oh, even yeah. Oh, I
Put them
didn't
on the
think about
island
that.
And let see. So the whole premise of the story would be they have to assimilate and live
Okay.
with these illegal aliens.
And who can control them? Who can get the most votes to control them? That
There you
would
go.
be awesome to
that'd
watch.
Be a lot of fun to watch because that'll be really tell you about their political
At
prowess.
the end of it, though, I think Moonbeam would have cleavered up AOC and Nan and made some ceremonial tribal drums that she could beat on, and then have like a bunch of Slim Jim a la mode. I think she'd just be living high on the hog.
It's funny because we went to a movie last night. We went to see Lion King,
Okay.
which was really an amazing movie. The story's the same, but the animation was really pretty impressive. But what I thought was funny was Scar, the brother of the king.
Okay.
He killed his brother,
Right.
to take over with the hyenas. And
Yeah.
And so
I've seen it. I've seen the original.
So my wife and I were sitting there, and we looked at each other, and we said, "Sounds like the Democrats almost simultaneously." Because watching the debates and watching Moonbeam and arguments that Dershowitz is having, and all these people are tying Bill Maher, and all these people are tying into, remind me of the pack of hyenas.
Yeah, that's about right. That's a good analogy.
They took this beautiful, lush valley that people were living within their means. They knew that they knew lions had to hunt, but they did it with respect and regard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't eat more than they needed and all the stuff like that. To a pack of hyenas and a deceiving family member.
Ted Nugent needs to write a song about this.
I know, right? that they come in and they basically decimate all the resources.
Right on.
If you watch the movie and you relate it to what goes on in this country, you can kind of see
Okay.
the parallel that we drew, because we were looking at each other going, wow, this is just bizarre. I know we're looking at it through adult eyes, but it was amazing how many people may not have viewed it that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you look at the politicians and you look at the games they're playing and all the shit they stir, kind of makes you wonder. I mean, like I said, going back to the ageism thing, that's a discussion we can have on 100 podcasts and give example of how ageism fits and doesn't fit. But I think in the political arena, they're doing their best to phase it out.
Yeah.
They're basically, and the concern I have is that with people that are older, have experience.
The old white guy, and the old white guy argument is prime for that.
But what I think is funny is they make the argument about the old white guy, but then they say, but everybody should have a fair chance.
Right. Except
these guys. And it's like, wait a minute, it's not oppression at all.
Yeah.
You want somebody that has experience and balance in there. Okay? The problem we have is we're only being offered extremisms.
On both ends.
Both ends of the deal.
So my take on just
when
you add ageism or these older politicians, the older, in my opinion, the older generation is not serving their constituency; they're serving themselves. That's the problem.
Well, you just said that means all politicians, not even young ones going there to get rich too.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think that to some degree, I think they're right when they say that the older politician is out of touch or out of step.
Wow, I'm shocked. I really am. Here's why: because AOC gets in, she's not done anything but anybody but herself.
Well, and the thing is like, okay,
she's the only one making money on this deal.
With her, her election, she just appealed to. I'm going to say
she was the only one. She ran on a post.
She got put in office by dumbasses.
Okay.
Is she in step with her constituency? Yeah, she's she leads a demographic of dumbasses.
I think she won a popularity contest on a
Yeah,
social
yeah,
media
yeah,
event.
Yeah.
That's all she did.
But I will say,
how many tweets can I get? Here, let me show these. All right, I got tweets.
do I think that Biden is out of touch? Fuck yeah.
Well, yeah, we all agree with that, but I don't agree with all older people being out of touch.
No.
I'd say Reagan. I tell you what, I thought Reagan, for an old dude, did the best on covering the gap on everything.
Rand Paul and Ron Paul. I mean, I said Rand. I meant Ron. Ron Paul, the dad. That dude's sharp as a tack.
Oh,
And he's like 80.
Yeah. If
and not in it for himself.
Right.
As far as, I mean, I don't agree with everything.
Yeah. Well, you never will, because that's how we are as humans.
I'm not going to. I wasn't broad brushing that all old people.
Yeah.
Are
I know.
out of
I'm just
step.
trying to define it a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how we got there, but
Well, you said old white guys were out
well,
of touch.
with him, with Biden in general.
Yeah, I get it.
Is I shared. I already shared a story about my take on having to. I had no choice but to deal with the younger generation, and when I was there, I kind of gave them kudos for tapping into a skill set and seeing them do things that I don't remember my generation doing.
So go ahead.
No, so all I was going to say was, to a degree, I agree with what you're saying. So what you're saying basically is the successful politicians that are still left around are the ones that are out of touch, because if they weren't successful, they would. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were good at the game. They played the game.
Yeah.
They were able to make their money.
Well, they became So what the shift? But the power shift transferred from popularity to wealth to the coveting of wealth.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
what ends up happening is people typically follow the dude with the money.
Right.
So when they were young, you have a utilitarian purpose.
Right.
As you get older, it's up to you to make a name for yourself or make enough money that insulates yourself to make you powerful.
That's,
so the whole thing.
And that's what I think. I think the goal is to get to the money.
Sure.
And just coast. I think that's what they're looking for.
What you want to do, though, is you want to keep your network up.
Here's
Here's
but
the problem. It's like, look, that crazy dude doesn't know anything, but without him, I can't get to this committee.
Right.
How many times did you see that on Billions? Where you had always these young guys. All these young guys are burning up the field trying to get ahead. But it always came down to the gatekeeper. And it was usually an old dude that was politically connected.
Yeah.
Or an old dude that had a lot of money.
Yeah. So in a quick way, and this is probably unfair in some ways, but when the perception becomes the politician's only concern now is to just keep his ass in the seat, that's the issue that I have.
And that's a real
exactly.
problem,
And
right?
I think you're right. And that's what I meant by successful.
Right.
But,
Sure.
they're still there. So.
Yeah, I'd say the ones that are still in office, because here's what's sad about it, is that we structure ball players on bonus programs, okay?
Yeah.
We basically say we're going to pay you based on performance. So you're going to go out and you're going to train, you're going to take care of yourself, and you're going to try to win games. We don't do that with our politicians.
Right. That's
okay?
true.
We basically take our politicians and we say, look, once you get in here, it's your job to keep the seat until you die.
Fucking shoot. This is a roll of the dice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really is. So it's really falls on us as the taxpayers, or we the people, because we don't hold our politicians accountable based on performance. It's all about likability. When you talk to a lawyer about a case law, it's not about what's black or white.
That's right.
It's about what you can get the jury to believe. They're no different.
How many times we've heard Lawyer Joe sit over there and say that?
Exactly, for sure. And so that's how the politician world works.
Yeah.
So they know really quick. So like our problem in this country right now is going to be drugs, sex, banks, and the border.
Right.
And healthcare. Because healthcare keeps coming up in all these arguments about the success of this country.
Right.
Or the success of a political person sitting in a chair. So when you start looking at all those things, look at who controls most of those. There's always a politician in the gap.
Every time.
Always.
Or a brother of a politician.
And I'll ask you, when's the last time you saw fear in the eyes of a politician?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
Well, except with the sex predator stuff.
Well,
when
that's a good point.
Clinton's face, when Clinton was in a room and all these women were walking in,
that dude
the
looked
look
like
on his
ghost,
face was
man.
priceless.
Yeah.
I was like, that guy literally had fear in his eyes.
Yeah.
But putting fear in the eyes of a politician
Sure.
that says the constituency has said this,
Yeah.
therefore you better go do it. And if you don't do it, you better be able to come back and explain to the constituency.
Well, that happened in the last
why.
election too, though.
So, but that
they were totally fucked
as far
up
as
over
I'm
that.
concerned, they don't see enough fear.
I agree.
No, they don't. They don't, because they have all kinds of things to protect them.
And and not the kind of fear where you're holding a fucking gun to their head.
No, you're going to lose your job.
The fear I'm talking, exactly,
Yeah.
is I just want to make sure it's not misconstrued.
Or that I've failed my constituency.
Yes.
And I'm embarrassed because I
Oh,
didn't do
that's
my
asking
job.
way too much.
Isn't it, though?
I'm just saying
Sure.
what they're going to fear the most is you taking their paycheck.
Right.
Well, but here's the thing, though. They spend all their time vilifying the past predecessors that did do this.
Sure.
Now, I'm talking about the early presidents.
Yeah.
Washington, Jefferson, Adams, all those guys that had the weight of a new republic on their shoulders.
Right.
What direction do we steer the country? It's the weight. And those guys weighed heavily on every decision they made based on what was good for the republic. Not what was good for the government, but what was good for the republic. We've lost that because now what ends up happening is we have people that are beholding to big pharma, we have people that are beholding to big finance, and we have people that are beholding to big industry. That's what's wrong, is because everything they do affects us downline from that.
It was a different breed of man that thought a different way.
So you mean toxic masculinity was an issue?
No, I'm saying that they thought about others other than themselves.
Sure. It's
They
called
thought
being
about
a servant leader.
Exactly.
It's about a servant leader, and that's what the government in this country was set up for.
And that's totally what we lack now, in my opinion.
It's all self-deprecating, and it's never going to change unless we expect it to change. Or
Right.
Not expect it to change unless we make it change.
That's right.